Hello guys, Mr. 312 and welcome to Space Engineers with a little proof of concept. Those of you who have watched my videos for a while will know that I basically bought the game almost solely to make gravity generator and artificial mass driver cannons. And while I've made some pretty cool ones, I thought I'd show you a pretty fresh design that I actually think no one has done before, although I believe some people have considered it. I just don't know if anyone has done it. Now behind me you'll see my recreation. I just released it on the workshop. The U.S.R. Watchman. It's a sniper ship from Fractured Space, a game I am currently quite addicted to at the moment. The Watchman isn't even my favorite ship to use, but it's definitely probably my favorite in terms of appearance. I mean, it's a freaking railgun cruiser. And I think, let's see, the original ship, this is about a quarter of the scale, so it's about 430 meters long, while the one in the game is about 1,300 meters long, which would put those guns at about 600 meters long. That's a big frickin' gun. But anyway, I mean, those cannons are would be longer than a Paris-class frigate from Halo, just by themselves. So, and as you see, the ship does have some pretty cool looking guns, but those are actually functional. And like I said, they use a relatively new concept that I don't think anyone has done before. Let me show you what I came up with. Meet the Watchman's Railgun. Let me show you its features. So like I said, I use a relatively new system. As you see, obviously the gun uses a set of, I think, about 40 gravity generators, all fixed in one direction. They have specially tuned fields so that, one, the ship doesn't need that much power to fire, because gravity generators do use a fair amount of power when they're fixed to their full fields, and two, so that the guns don't throw off the gravitational field inside the ship. And as you see, though, there's actually a rail with lights running along the middle, serving as the rails. They don't really, and they allow me to do this. Now, the gun obviously prints its own shots. It uses a spaceball, and the spaceball blueprint is set to 2 tons, which is the maximum spaceball weight. Now you may be thinking, well, okay, why not just use a merge block, artificial mass block, a gyro and all that to make, well, this is the simplest bullet possible. I mean, this is basically the musket ball of Space Engineers, and I don't know if anyone's thought of making this thing into a weapon, but you'll actually see it has pretty decent results. So this is for simplicity's sake. Obviously with the limited size of the turret, I had to make a relatively simple system. And as you see, also the hologram is set on a rotor, because obviously grinders and welders can't really weld it or grind anything on their own grid, at least not that I know of. I haven't tested that theory, but in either case this would work. So obviously what happens is the welder welds the 2 pillar blocks and the space ball, and the grinder gets rid of the pillar blocks. The ball is then free, and obviously that's another thing. The Spaceball doesn't require an external power source. I mean, it won't power anything plugged into it, but it can power itself, so it's a self-powered artificial mass block. And then obviously once the ball is free, thanks to the timers, everything, this is all automated. The drivers come on and fire the ball out, and I think it goes at about 300 meters per second with a proper speed mod. I am not sure. I don't know exactly how to clock this thing because I can't stick a cockpit on it. And obviously the rails with the blast doors allow it to, even if it does somewhat go to the side, it will just roll along the smoothly way out to the side. And I think they also look really good. Now you may be wondering why what's with the blue and white thing. Well, I'll show you in just a second when I fire the gun. Alright, we're currently set in the cockpit of my Watchman, and it's a little work in progress at the moment. I don't have a proper interior or even really gravity on the ship itself. The ship is mostly based around the railgun concept, but if you press 8 while in the cockpit seat, this will activate the remote control on the top gun, and number 9 will activate the lower gun. Dorsal means top and ventral means bottom one, in case you're looking through the menu and wonder why is all this stuff named dorsal ventral. But yeah, you press 8 in this case. And it is highly recommended to do this if you're moving, although I find so far it doesn't cause too many problems. But press 3 and 4 to unlock the horizontal and vertical rotors. And now the gun swings freely. It's kind of slow, and it also, I think I currently have it set to about 45 degrees left and right. And it does have a limited up and down. Be careful when swinging it around though, because if you hit your ship, it's a bit messy. So I'm just going to show you the process of firing the gun first. So I obviously explained it before, but here you can see visually. So in this case, once you're in control of the gun, press 2. Boop. That. There. Yeah, look at that. And but as you saw, I managed to get the rails. Let's see. You see the lights here. The rails glow in the so-called charging process, which the longest part of the firing process is definitely the grinders, which for some reason take almost 6 seconds to grind away some freaking interior pillar blocks. But they do that, and thanks to the extra bright colors on the rails when the lights come on, it's here. I can show you. There we go. See? Nice and bright. It looks really good on darker skyboxes as well. So just a nice little effect. I know it's probably not the most super practical thing, but let's see what this gun can do. Obviously, also there is a camera on each gun. The camera's inverted. Here, hold on a minute. And also here's something you can change. If you go into the menu, Railgun Rotor, look up Railgun Rotor. You can select these two, and currently they're set, like I said, about 45 degrees in either direction. You just increase it to whatever you want, but keep in mind that if you rotate the gun too far, it's going to knock into part of the ship. So I'd say probably about less than 90 degrees is optimal. Anyway, so yeah, each gun has a camera, and for this ship I know that it's important to aim about there. And I recommend locking it in place, but you don't have to. And obviously press 2. The gun's charging. Fire. Boing. And look at this. I mean, this thing does equally well. I think it even does even better somehow against heavy armor. But it does best if there are components in the path of the gun, because for some reason especially with speed mods, the bullet will just boink through armor, especially really thick armor. I don't know why, just something with the collision, it's just all wonky. But obviously I'll fire it again, and it should go through and take out something on the inside. You saw that? Yep, see that? Went right through, took out all the reactors. I don't know exactly what else powers the ship. There's probably a battery or two somewhere around here. And oops. Well, why not? Now obviously and it took out a bunch of the back thrusters too, so not only is this ship on vastly reduced power, but it's barely going to be able to move. And so this thing's definitely not going to be able to flee, it's not going to be able to maneuver, and if my ship was much further off. And that's another cool thing about the whole concept of these railguns. There's potentially infinite range to these things. So you can just sit back and pepper. It's going to be hard to lead, obviously, but holy crap, this is 3 shots. And this is, like I said, this is an incredibly simple bullet, capable of doing crazy damage. And like I said, also, it does best if there's components in the way. Obviously, in this case, it just completely obliterates all the reactors and thrusters. I don't know. I'm very pleased with the concept of these guns. This is definitely a pretty crippled ship. I hope you guys like this video. I hope you guys like this ship. Check it out in the workshop. I'll link it down below and tell me what you think. The ship needs an interior at this point. I need to pipe it up and give it internal gravity and everything. Give it a much more stylish interior, which I have a couple people who can help me with that. And I hope you guys enjoyed, because that's it for today. Thanks and bye-bye.